There's a type of man that women can't resist. It's not the loudest one in the room, not the one with the best abs or the biggest bank account. It's the one who understands human nature and uses it without ever needing to explain it. He doesn't chase, he doesn't beg, he doesn't perform. Because he knows something the average man doesn't. That attraction isn't about being nice. It's about being necessary to her emotions, her imagination, her evolution. And one man predicted all of this 500 years ago, Niccolo Machiavelli. You might know him as the ruthless political strategist, the guy who said it's better to be feared than loved. But what most people miss is this: Machiavelli wasn't just talking about kings. He was talking about psychology. He was talking about strategy. He was talking about how power works, even in relationships. And when you strip away the politics, what you're left with is a blueprint for magnetism, for leverage, for respect, especially with women. Because Machiavelli understood something most men today still don't, that the key to attraction is not effort, it's perception. It's not who you are, it's who you appear to be in her emotional reality. And if you know how to shape that, you don't just win her attention, you own her curiosity. So in this video, we'll break down 5 hidden rules of attraction, straight from Machiavelli's mind, but applied to modern dating. These aren't pickup lines. These aren't alpha male tactics. These are psychological truths about influence, presence, and power. And if you use them right, you won't need to chase ever again. Let's begin. Machiavellian Rule 1. Never be fully available. Scarcity breeds desire. The more she can access you, the less she values you. It's basic economics, but most men forget this when emotions are involved. They reply instantly. They're always free. They cancel plans just to be with her, and they wonder why she loses interest. Here's what Machiavelli would say. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. If you always appear ready, eager, and open, you look like a man with no mission. And a man with no mission is a man with no mystery. Women don't fall for nice. They fall for necessary. Men who are driven, selective, and slightly elusive. You don't build value by overexposure. You build it by selective access. So stop offering your time like it's free. Start offering it like it's gold. Machiavellian Rule 2. Control the frame, not the person. Machiavelli never said, control people. He said, control how people see you. Big difference. Weak men try to control women. Her behavior, her phone, her words, her life. Strong men control the context, the emotional environment she steps into when she's with him. This is the game behind the game, because every relationship runs on frame. Are you the prize or the pursuer? Are you reacting to her reality or setting your own? If you're constantly asking, pleasing, explaining, you're living in her world. But if she steps into your world with your pace, your vision, your rhythm, she feels safe and intrigued. Machiavelli said, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Your job is not to expose your whole self. It's to present a version of yourself that commands respect first and reveals depth second. Because if you give her everything up front, she has nothing to discover. And discovery is the engine of attraction. So what does it mean to control the frame? It means you guide the energy of the moment. You're not flustered. You're not proving. You're not apologizing for being yourself. You let silences breathe. You don't rush to fill them. You don't try to fix her emotions. You witness them. That's presence. That's frame control. You're not dominating. You're anchoring. You're the calm in the storm, not the storm she has to calm. When you do this, she feels the shift. You're no longer just a guy. You're a force, the kind of man who doesn't just react. He leads. And that leadership isn't loud. It's subtle, almost invisible, but she feels it. And that feeling is unforgettable. Now, as always, if this content is making sense to you, Then click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. Machiavellian Rule 3: Seduce with silence. In a world addicted to noise, the man who speaks less speaks louder. Machiavelli understood this. He believed that speech, while necessary, was also dangerous. The more you say, the more you reveal. And the more you reveal, the more power you lose. Most men think attraction is about saying the right things: compliments, jokes, stories, validation. But the truth? Silence is the most seductive language on earth, because silence forces projection. When you don't fill the space, she will. She starts wondering, what is he thinking? Is he interested? Why isn't he chasing? That uncertainty is where desire lives. Machiavelli said, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims." But let's flip that. You're not deceiving anyone. You're just not oversharing. You're not laying your emotions bare on the table from day one. You're giving space for curiosity to bloom. And here's the truth no one tells you. A woman can fall in love with a version of you that you never even confirmed, simply because she filled in the blanks herself. That's the power of silence, not as a manipulation, but as a test of depth, because only men with inner stillness can sit comfortably in silence, and women feel that. When you don't rush to impress, prove, or win her over, you stand out, you become rare, you become the man she remembers when everyone else is trying too hard. So next time you're with her, try this. Speak 20% less than you normally would. Pause before you answer. Let her talk. Let her reveal herself. And when you do speak, make it count. Speak with direction, with grounding, with clarity, not to entertain, not to impress, but to invite her into your frequency. Because when your silence holds more weight than another man's words, you don't chase attraction, you become it. Machiavellian Rule 4: Keep her slightly off balance. Balance is beautiful in nature, but in attraction, too much balance becomes boredom. Machiavelli knew that stability without mystery breeds complacency, that people, by nature, don't appreciate what's fully secure, only what's just slightly out of reach. He didn't advocate for chaos. He understood the psychology of tension. In The Prince, he warned rulers not to be too kind, too predictable, or too available. Why? Because certainty breeds neglect. Uncertainty fuels desire. Now apply that to romance. When a man gives everything, attention, emotion, time, validation, without any challenge, the spark fades, not because she's cruel, but because the brain craves contrast. So, what does slightly off balance look like? It means breaking pattern, not texting at the exact same time every day, not always being available for the call, not always saying yes. It's the art of being consistent enough to build trust, but unpredictable enough to keep her emotionally engaged. One moment, you're fully present. Next moment, you're in your own world, focused, driven, silent. This isn't game playing. It's energetic polarity. It's the rhythm of masculine detachment and feminine chase. Push and pull, heat and space. You lead with warmth, but you're not afraid to pull back. Because a man who can withdraw without fear signals immense strength. You're not afraid to lose her, and paradoxically, that's what makes her stay. Machiavelli would call this strategic coldness, not cruelty, but clarity, a reminder that your center doesn't revolve around her approval. You're grounded, unshakable, a man with a mission that doesn't pause for anyone. And that edge, that subtle unpredictability, it makes her feel alive, like every interaction matters, like she's dancing on the edge of something deeper. You're not withholding affection. You're maintaining your magnetism by making sure she never feels like she's figured you out. Because once she thinks she has, attraction begins to die. Mystery rekindles it. Machiavellian Rule 5: Be the fantasy, not the fix. This is where most men lose. They think, if I show her I'm safe, stable, available, she'll want me. But Machiavelli would laugh, Because attraction isn't about logic. It's not about how good of a provider you are. It's about how much you activate her imagination. You weren't meant to be her therapist, or her emotional sponge, or her life coach. You were meant to be the man she feels before she thinks, the fantasy she gets lost in, the energy that wakes her up at 2 a.m., the presence that lingers after you leave. Machiavelli knew that leaders don't lead with solutions. They lead with vision, with charisma, with myth. He said, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." Let's translate that for modern attraction. It's better to be respected with mystery than loved with boredom. When you try too hard to fix her problems, you shift into the role of the helper, the listener, the nice guy, and slowly, you lose the very edge that pulled her in. Instead, be the man who inspires escape, who pulls her out of her overthinking, who reminds her what it feels like to feel again. You do this by owning your polarity. You move with purpose. You speak with restraint. You're emotionally available, but not emotionally tangled. She doesn't come to you to be rescued. She comes to you to remember herself. And when she sees you as the one who awakens her deeper nature, you don't have to convince her to stay. She'll chase you in her mind, even when she's in another room, because you're not the guy who ticked every box. You're the guy who made her forget what the boxes were for. You're not the solution. You're the spark. And that is the highest form of masculine magnetism, not to be the man who fixes her, but the man who frees her, the man who becomes a living symbol of something she didn't even know she was craving. That's not manipulation, that's mastery. If this resonated, take a moment to subscribe. Drop a comment below, not for the algorithm, but to mark this chapter in your journey. If you made it this far, you're not just watching, you're remembering, returning, reclaiming your inner ground. So trust that the video YouTube shows you next, the one appearing now, is not random. It's the next doorway, the next layer, and it will meet you exactly where you are. We'll see you in the next depth. Depthoria continues.